It turns out, a new book is out, that the Biden administration, all as they were preparing for the transition, they were assuming that there was a good likelihood of an attempted coup. So they had 70 different possibilities that they were going through without any American realizing how seriously they were taking this in the background. Check this out, and then we'll take it on the other side.
You and you do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States
office of President of the United States
and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. So help you God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
So a moment that almost didn't happen. And if you listen carefully, underneath "Hail to the Chief," you can almost hear it, right? The collective exhale, collective sigh of relief, because that transfer of power, unlike any other in modern American history, almost didn't happen, peacefully or otherwise. Just 2 weeks earlier, the disgraced, twice impeached ex-president had incited a violent and deadly attack on the Capitol with the intent of disrupting an American tradition enshrined in the Constitution. It's a point of pride for those of us who live here in the United States of America, a tradition that is admired and envied the world over.
At the heart of our republic is the guarantee of the peaceful transfer of power. Standing on the west front of the Capitol in 1981, President Ronald Reagan described it this way: "The orderly transfer of authority as called for in the Constitution routinely takes place, as it has for almost 2 centuries, and few of us stop to think how unique we really are. In the eyes of many in the world, this every 4-year ceremony that we accept as normal is nothing less than a miracle. Every president in our history has defended this orderly transfer of authority, except one."
Except one. Now, veteran reporter Chris Whipple is out with some incredible new reporting on the extreme steps the incoming Biden administration took behind the scenes to prepare for the possibility that Trump would attempt a military-style coup in order to block the peaceful transfer of power. From that new book, quote, "Biden's team anticipated obstruction, delays in getting personnel in place, and a concerted effort to impede the transfer of power. And much worse, they prepared for, quote, unconventional challenges, of which there were too many to count, including this ominous possibility, quote, an increase in the level and intensity of social protesting and government response. According to Biden's transition chairman, that was the, quote, euphemism of the year. Government response was code for Trump sending troops into the streets, perhaps declaring martial law. No one in the Biden camp would say publicly that they feared Trump might stage a coup, but privately they were taking precautions. Is it something we were concerned about and thought about, had plans about? Absolutely. We had a bunch of smart people sitting around a table night and day saying, okay, what are the plans? One of the key questions was, what's going to happen with Trump and the military? You know you're in trouble when doomsday planning for a possible military coup by the outgoing president ends up on your to-do list. Chris Whipple's new book, The Fight of His Life Inside Joe Biden's White House, is out today. Take me through this book.
Well, it begins with the transition, the most fraught and most dangerous transition since the Civil War, and the bloodiest, as it turned out. It was absolutely extraordinary. I talked to Bob Bauer, who was the legal counsel for the transition. He's the one who described 70 different eventualities they were preparing for, including, they stopped at 70 because that was all they could really deal with. But the most dangerous of which would have been a military coup. But while all that was going on, Nicole, the really extraordinary thing was this untold story I came across of a Trump staffer, a deputy White House chief of staff, a New Zealander who used to work for Mitt Romney. He was in charge of his transition. wound up at the Trump White House. He wasn't crazy about Trump, but he stayed until January 6th and beyond. And he was the guy who quietly kept the wheels of the transition turning in a kind of sub rosa operation under Trump's nose and without his knowledge. It's this extraordinary story. And he had people like Josh Bolten, the former Bush chief of staff, and others talking to him as kind of a lifeline, talking him off the ledge, telling him you cannot quit because otherwise we won't have a transfer of power.
I think that is a report that it should give everybody pause. And for those who are looking at those folks on the right that are supporting Donald Trump as patriots, this should be the nail in the coffin for anyone who is thinking about giving this guy another opportunity to hold power in this country. The reality is, as we've been saying for a long time, this guy is a clear and present danger. You cannot give this guy access to the country again. You cannot make this guy have security clearance again, or any additional security clearance, or ability to hear all the things that this country is doing itself around the world. Because again, this man is a clear and present danger, and there's nothing patriotic about him. In fact, there's a good likelihood that for self-preservation and for his own sake, he will sell this country out so fast before he even takes office. We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number one, subscribe to our channel. And number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.